Welcome to the Real Life Artist Podcast. This is the show where we discuss the challenges that come with being an artist, as well as ways you can overcome those challenges through practical applications, shared experiences, and general discussion. My name is Luke. Welcome. I appreciate you spending your time here. I hope it is worth it and insightful. I am confident it will be. So before tuning in to today's topic, why don't you grab your favorite beverage or snack, sit back and relax, or if you're in your car driving to work, just sit back, relax, enjoy the show. I think today is going to be a very valuable topic for a lot of us artists. So, in case you don't know what a real life artist is, this show, go back and listen to episode 1 or the trailer to fully know what it's about. But essentially, we talk about the mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset of musicians, artists, producers, composers, as well as the fact that real life can get in the way of our art, our craft, our projects. And so we really tackle how to address those issues when they arise in this show. That's one big thing that we really talk about. We do talk about business, we talk about the music creation process, but especially that mindset, that mental health aspect is a key point, a key aspect of this show. So welcome. Glad you're here. So today's topic is the lies we tell ourselves and how it can affect our ability to create. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know this, just, whether you're an artist or not, it's pretty obvious there are a lot of stumbling blocks and mountains that we have to climb and issues that just get in the way, and it's really difficult. And on top of that, we start to tell ourselves things that aren't true. So that's what we're going to talk about today, kind of attack them from a logical standpoint, but not just logical, just having these conversations as artists, as creatives that I don't feel are had very often. So we are going to delve right into it. So let's get into the content. So, to kind of introduce everything, do you ever tell yourself things that are kind of similar to this? I'll never be good as the greats of our time. Or, I know I can make good music, but it's not ever going to be impactful or big like I want it to. Or, maybe you say, my dreams aren't realistic and I should choose a different career path in life. Well, I can tell you with 100% certainty that, every musician, every producer, every composer has undergone this in their life at some point. Every great, really, every big company has been started during difficult times. And it's just, this career path is not one that's just without issues and blemishes and such. So that's what we're going to talk about. And, a lie obviously is a statement that isn't true. But I think we can turn these lies instead into challenging questions. So that's kind of how we attack these lies. So for example, when we start to have these mindsets and these processes, we need to differentiate between what a lie is and what a challenging question is. Now, I've got a list of lies that we might tell ourselves, and we're going to go through those. Now, keep in mind, it's not a comprehensive list, although I think it's very pertinent to a lot of us. And we're going to try to find ways to kind of turn those into questions, because that's really how we're going to get to the root of these issues. So, for example, you might say to yourself, my dreams are unachievable and unrealistic. And since that's the case, I should quit. So that's a lie, right? But how can we turn that into a question? If we turn it into a question, that becomes, what are my dreams? What is the plan to achieve them? And am I okay if I need to make adjustments and take different turns than I initially thought along the way? So again, we turn that whole dreams are unrealistic and I therefore should quit into a question. Am I okay if I have to make adjustments and take a different road than I initially thought? And when you're able to turn these lies on themselves like this, you're going to see a massive difference in the way that we handle ourselves, art, and our careers. So let's get into that list I was talking about. Again, not comprehensive. We can certainly pick this topic back up. If it is something that you resonate with, please let me know in the comments. If you are watching on YouTube, by the way, this is a video podcast, but there is also audio available, of course. Tune into YouTube if you want to see the video version. Or you can write an email. Check the show notes for information if you have lies or questions you want included in future episodes. So, lie number 1. We sort of talked about it a little bit. My dreams aren't realistic and are not achievable. So we often hear as artists and musicians and as composers from other people, basically that our dreams aren't achievable. And it gets to the point where we start to believe it. You know, we hear things like, man, only the top 1% of artists actually make it, or you have to have a huge fan base to make a decent living, or you have to sell yourself out. Now, none of these statements are true. But let's be clear. Our dreams and ambitions as artists are ambitious. Yes, but they are 100% achievable. And, you know, have you ever taken note that sometimes the people who say things like what I just mentioned, they really don't understand the business and the art of music, and they also don't understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. You ever notice that? And usually it could be your parents, your friends who went to university and think that's the only way to live, or, you know, it's just haters who aren't happy with their life choices, so they criticize yours to feel better about themselves. So quite honestly, I know this whole music journey can be difficult at times, and sometimes almost unbearable. It can get very, very difficult. Sometimes there's days we just want to quit. But, you know, don't listen to that voice in your head that's saying you're not able to achieve your dreams. Because ultimately, if you're defeated already in your mind, then honestly, you're probably going to have great difficulty achieving your dreams until that mindset is changed. And we're going to delve more into that. But just keep that in mind. If you're defeated in your head, it's really difficult to make these dreams come to fruition because we don't think it can happen. And, you know, I don't say that to be mean, but I just want to make sure that we're believing in ourselves and we're investing the time and the resources to make this a reality. So that's lie number 1. My dreams are not realistic or achievable. Lie number 2. I'm not, I'm not actually that good at what I do. This is also known as imposter syndrome. So, you know, this could be for multiple reasons, but basically maybe we fail, quote, you know, air quotes, at producing for an artist or a filmmaker or a fellow producer, collaboration, etc. And we sort of feel like we've lost our way. We're not actually good. Or, you know, someone in our family or our friend group doesn't believe in us. They don't see potential. So that's like, oh man, I really messed up. I'm not good at what I do. You know, or maybe we just haven't received the positive feedback that we'd like. And so we don't see our potential when we show our music to others. But here's the key to this one, the imposter syndrome, the lie that I'm not really that good at what I do. Make sure that first and foremost, your art and your music sounds good to you. You actually enjoy it. And make sure you're open to feedback and suggestions. Now, this can be really difficult because naturally we stray away from constructive criticism or criticisms, right? It's not fun receiving that, but we definitely have to keep an open mind. But when we do this, we're going to have to let go partly, if not entirely, of our ego. Because let's be honest, no one in this music industry is a big fan of big egos. So we're going to have to keep an open mind about constructive criticism to kind of tackle that lie. I'm not actually good at what I do, imposter syndrome. Again, maybe just ask a trusted listener, someone who's been doing this music thing for a while. Hey, what do you think of this? Like, I'm totally open to constructive criticism. Are there areas that I've succeeded? Are there areas that can be improved? Just let me know your thoughts. Get a very qualified listener to sort of coach you and help you with your music, because sometimes we need that reminder that we actually have done some good work. Lie 3. Since I can't replicate my old works, I've lost my skills. This is kind of common. You ever had this where it's like you're not able to replicate something you did to a T, and now you feel like a failure, or like, man, that was just like luck of the draw. Like I got really lucky that happened. And the truth is, let's take basketball players, for example. Even if you are an amazing basketball player, you're not going to make the same exact shot twice. And really, this isn't a bad thing, because it's kind of an advantage. The second time around, you have more wisdom. The second time you take that shot, you know angles better, you know technique better. The second time you try to recreate that song, you have a new insight. Now, that means you could make it better, or that means you could take it a different direction. But just because we're not able to replicate things to an exact T does not mean we've lost our skills. We just look at things from a new perspective, we have more wisdom, and we've grown. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What did I learn when I made this song? And really, that's a good thing to ask for failures too. If you fail, you really mess up bad, my mantra is, what did I learn here? What can be improved for next time? Lie number 4, and the final one, is I have missed my chance to make it. This is something I have certainly gotten into before. We sometimes look at someone who's like 16 or something, and it's like they're already like a platinum selling producer, and it's like, man, that's just silly. Like, I'm 25, 26, I'm 30, 35, and like, I'm not there. Or, I'm too old. I didn't start when I was younger. Like, if I'm going to play like violin, we're way past that. And I get it. We may have squandered our time in the past. It happens, because I've done that. It's not fun. But that changes now. And I don't mean tomorrow or in an hour. I mean now. And, when we approach this disappointment of like, man, I've missed my chance, let's approach it with an open mind and ask, what did I learn from my past? Instead of, my past destroys me today, what can it teach me today? And again, we're going to see leaps and bounds in our progress if we're able to realize mistakes and obstacles and challenges are what shape us. There's a great book I recommend that I went through recently. It is called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And essentially, Holiday talks about how obstacles really are the way to success. Even though they're wrapped up in, ugly looking packages, they seem like failure. They just seem totally unusable. Once you really unpack it, you learn so much more than if you would have just gotten a free pass to just, success or fame or whatever. We really do need these things. I always say, if it's going to take 20 no's before I get one yes, let me start getting my no's now. Let me start failing. I always tell people, and they think it's sort of odd, I want to fail. I look forward to failing. Because, again, if I've got to have 30 failures before I have one success, let me start failing right now. Let me start learning. Now, with all that in mind, so to summarize those, and before we summarize this episode, I do have a takeaway question I want to ask then. My dreams aren't realistic. So here are the 4 lies. My dreams aren't realistic and are not achievable. 2, I'm not actually that good at what I do. 3, since I can't replicate my previous works, I've lost my skills. And 4, I've missed my chance to make it. So I want to ask this final question before summarizing. And I think if we sincerely and genuinely consider this question, It'll really affect how we approach our work, our art, and our career. So here's the question. How would your art be different if you ignored the nitty-gritty details and just made a short 30-second song every day? How much more pure would your art be? And it doesn't matter if this song or this project is underdeveloped or not. Most of us have difficulty just creating ideas and making stuff because we're pinned down by perfectionism or these thoughts that cloud our heads. So basically, how would your art be different if blank? You can kind of insert there, but what I'm inserting is, how would your art be different if you ignored the nitty-gritty details and just made a song every day? I'm not saying you have to share it, but ultimately, all of that dirty water has to come out before we start getting clean water. So again, if we're going to get clean water, we might as well start now. So to summarize all of this, first off, your dreams are achievable. This kind of goes to line number one, that my dreams aren't achievable and they're unrealistic. They are achievable, but make sure your mindset is in the right mental space to make this happen. Make sure that, again, we're turning lies into questions, because lies ultimately are there for a reason. They've been planted, but we're not going to let those lies or those failures or those doubts hold us down. We're going to flip them on their head and we're going to say, okay, what's the question that I'm getting out of this lie? How can I make that insightful? The other point of summary, point 2, is make sure your art sounds good to you and that you're putting in the effort to improve every single day, even if it's just 1% a day, 0.5% a day. One of the other things I sort of live by is move slowly but always forward. Move slowly but always forward, never backward. Even if that's just a tiny baby step today, you're not going backward. Point 3, if you feel like you can't replicate your old works perfectly, it's okay, because more than likely you can walk into new projects with a new perspective, more wisdom, or we can ask, hey, what can be improved in this? And then lastly, the last point of summary is, if you feel you've missed your chance to make a successful career, don't dwell on the past, but instead ask, what did I learn from the past that I can use today? Again, we don't want to be saying, my past is holding me down today because of something that happened a while ago. We're going to say, oh, what question or insight can I learn from a past mistake that I can be using today? So that is our content. That is our summary. I sincerely hope this was insightful to you. Again, it's something I'm very passionate about because I think, honestly, as artists, musicians, producers, composers, creatives, let's be honest with ourselves. We are on this island, essentially, where we're really isolated and we don't have a lot of people to talk to who really understand and get this stuff, because it's tough, and I think that makes it even tougher. So please, engage, leave a comment, send an email, something that we can open up and talk about in future episodes, because this is a community. We're all in this together. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you want to send a voice memo to be played on the show, go to the show notes for ways to contact and get that in. I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for tuning in today. I hope you have an excellent day and this episode was insightful. Take care and have a good one.